Hey, what's good? Unexpected Wonder here once again. The way I do my channel, videos and whatnot, the topics I bring up, even in the comments sections, or well, whether it's my own or in other videos, just conversations I have. Once again, Costa Rica, love that place. Anyway, just throwing that out there. I have to, like I said, I have to bring out supplemental videos in order to fully explain what I do, okay, and my reasonings behind things, because apparently not everybody's on the same page. Now, this time, I'm coming here to talk about how fights are won, okay, and it would seem to be simple on the surface, but very seldom can we be superficial and shallow about our observation of things when it comes to humanity, especially. Even in the animal kingdom, if battles happen, physically, there is more to it than what it first appears. With humanity, oh my goodness, Uber Hikari, for example, shout out to Uber. He puts in mad work, as I always say. He talks about the idea of, in literature, most often, especially in shonen manga and in shonen anime, wars, fights have an ideological reason behind them. And if you look back to whether it be arguments, whether it be quarrels, whether it be physical confrontations, fights generally have ideological struggles behind them. Now, I'm not getting into that one in this video because I've talked about that to some degrees in videos I've dealt with war. As for example, I think Kill la Kill episode was that 20? 21? Something like that, entitled This Is War. But another one I might have done, The Essence of War, or something along those lines. Anyways, and I know I probably talked about it with Uchiha Madara, some of the videos I dealt with him. Regardless, like I said, I'm going to be dealing with how fights are won. Now, oftentimes, I've done, or I'm continuing to do, I should say, a series of death matches. Go check them out. Currently, I'm at number 10. Number 11 will come probably sometime this upcoming week. Okay? Just I have a lot to do on this channel. There's plenty else I have to do on this channel that I still haven't done. I've had videos backed up for months, okay? That kind of stuff. And new junk just keeps popping off. That's just how it is in my life. Hey, do what you do. When I talk to people, I realize something. When I put those videos, first of all, let me talk about the videos that I put. In those videos, if you've ever watched my videos, and I'm sure probably a third of my subscribers have at this point, at least, and others as well. Give credit to others who watch my videos. Pause for the cause. I always am thankful, grateful that with the subscribers and other people who actually watch my videos take the time out, because I know a lot of them are lengthy. This one will probably be lengthy as well, and it supports it gives me fire to continue putting in hard work into these videos. Much love and respect to y'all. Even when we disagree, much love and respect to that. In those videos, I break it down into three categories and 11 subcategories. And the three main categories are attack, defense, and strategy. Under attack, I deal with strength, meaning physical strength, speed. That's talking about combat speed. That's where people get it twisted. Traveling speed and combat speed are definitely not the same thing. Running in a straight line or running around, running away from something is different than a fighting speed. Techniques, and as well as destructive capacity / power. Okay. In the defense category, there is reaction time, which a lot of people don't want to take into consideration. It's huge because certain characters, they don't move that fast, but their reaction time is ridiculous. So they evade, because that's how some fighting styles are. Durability, which is not the same as stamina. Durability is the hits you can take physically. Stamina is how long you can go. It's similar to endurance. And then agility. Agility is fluid motion. Just because you have great reaction time doesn't mean somebody's agile. There's, all of these are important. And then in the strategy category, there's location. You'd be surprised certain matchups. Now, I try to match them up fairly, so location is generally not an issue. But location can matter. It can really determine a fight. Fighting style. Styles are huge. Styles are huge. And that's actually, I'll deal with that more in this video, to be honest with you. Because I talk about that, but I just talk about the styles that they have. I don't really go in depth on the style because I don't want to make the video an hour long. Each of those videos an hour long. And then fighting IQ, fighting intelligence, which I think I'm pretty sure I go in more in depth with this video as well. Yes, I do. I do as well. And a lot of people don't want to pay attention to that as well. Because, first of all, they don't think. They're not thinking that the fighters actually think. Now, with fighting, and I said another point. What is it? Oh, another point. All that is pretty much empirical, okay? Meaning it's pretty much observable information. Fighting IQ, some of them get dicey, but you can still observe, just what someone does. But there's some underlying causes that, it's not that I make assumption that people understand them, but I do want to at least give you credit that you understand fighting one-on-one, that you understand fighting one-on-one, that you understand the basics of fighting. Apparently, a lot of people don't understand the basics of fighting because I'm like, either, and maybe it's because I happen to be applied to both. Well, all three. I guess I fall in the third category, whether it's, about fighting through actual combat. I'm talking combat, not just throwing a few junk at it. No, actual combat. Some serious fighting. Whether it be armed or unarmed. You watch Red, you've consumed a bunch of knowledge about fighting. Okay, the analytical state. For example, you've read the manga Holy Land, where the author breaks it down beautifully. Okay, and there's other series, or Baki. Okay, the different series of Baki, for example, different martial arts series. Even in Dragon Ball, Batman, he at times goes into it. In the foes he faces, different fighting styles, and you understand what I'm saying. Or both. I fall into both. And it also helps with my mind that I'm quite analytical. That's a whole separate thing. But I'm analytical. And so that revolves in a heat of battle. And I love fighting. I do. Not the fact that, don't get it twisted. Okay? It's not that I want to fight. Okay? It's not that I'm trying to tell people fight. Fighting should be the last option. Fighting should be, a last resort. You should not throw them hands or even more or less quarrel. It shouldn't come to that. But if it does, be able to defend yourself. But if it does, have the proper technique so you don't get hurt. So that maybe you want to handle business and then end it, and so that the other dude doesn't get. You understand what I'm saying? Limit. The first thing you do, if you can get out of the situation, it's not being a coward. Get out of the situation if you can. It's not running away. Just get out of the situation if you can. It's wise. Anybody who knows the martial arts knows this. Or who's been around the martial arts, who's an advocate or supporter like myself of the martial arts. Now, also consider this. When I talk to people, they don't know what they're talking about. And it's not the me for bragging. It's that they don't understand fighting. For example, I had a recent discussion. I think this has helped what sparked this in my mind. Where a dude talking about, I dropped a death match. It was my third death match on Batman. This is just an example. There's been other times. Batman versus Iron Man. And he's saying, Batman can't win for this, but he first talked about power, and he talked about Iron Man's suit of durability, and he's talking about all this. He's like, you're talking about Iron Man, you can't separate Tony Stark and Iron. Yes, I can, because without the suit, what is Tony Stark? Without the suit, what is Batman? Bruce Wayne is still badass. He still kicks ass. This is what it is. That suit doesn't really help. Without his gadgets, Bruce Wayne is still a fighting genius. Bruce Wayne's intellect. When the fact is, when you look at, Marvel, and I love Marvel. I love Marvel more than DC, but I keep it real. I'm unbiased. You have Tony Stark, Reed Richards, and Hank Pym. or Pym. Yeah, Hank Pym. And DC is pretty much Bruce Wayne. Intellect. And that's just intelligent. That's that you know, that's the normal, you know, with the detective. That's just normal dealing with craft intelligence. That's not talking about fighting IQ. Batman's fighting IQ clearly outclasses. It's not even on the same level. Or I should say Iron Man's is not even anywhere near the same level as Batman's. Okay? There are other elements. I recognize the power. I recognize this and that. But those physical attributes oftentimes don't even determine a fight. You understand what I'm saying? Those are important. You know, punching power, for example, if we're talking boxing, punching power is important. Speed's important. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, taking a punch, all that's important. Oh, you best believe that. But at the same time, there are ways to circumvent things. Or just because you're a physical monster. And look, if you know fiction especially, I mean, you can just look in the real world, but if you know fiction especially, how many times did the physical monster lose? And it's not just on some underdog status, it's because of underlying reasons, underlying causes as to why that person lost. And now I will get into what those seven underlying causes are. I had to get all that out the way, you know, as a prerequisite kind of thing to where my mindset is. Number one, styles. This is the first underlying cause. How fights are won. Styles. One of the famous sayings. Hold on one second. Sorry. One of the famous sayings with fighting is styles make fights, which is, oh man, it's more true than people want to give credit for. Whether it be boxing versus karate, kickboxing versus wrestling, freestyle fighting versus a counter puncher, kind of a counter puncher kind of thing. Whether, you know, you have which will make why it's a beautiful matchup if and when Monkey D. Luffy faces Don Quixote do Flamingo, you understand, in the series One Piece. And then what other things? I thought of some other outsider versus an infighter. Well, yeah, outsider versus infighter. That's a boxing kind of thing. You could do a whole list of it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, yeah, styles are so important because it revolves about limitation. It revolves around what you have to expect. You know, where you focused on. You know, how large is an arsenal? How limited. Now don't misunderstand this. Limitations aren't always a bad thing. It's, for example, in more of a philosophical context, freedom. Freedom in its base form is the ability to do anything you want to, anything one wants to. Morality, which is based upon truth, absolutes, and all that jazz. And I've dealt with that before in, I believe, previous videos or whatnot. Morality limits, because it says, yo, you just can't do anything, because that involves theft, that involves abuse, that involves murder, just a whole slew of things. You're lying, you're hurting people. You can't just do anything you want to. And then if you think about it logically, in nature, there are natural, there's laws of order and there's rules and just things. For example, the gravity, okay? What goes up must come down. You can't just go off and fly, you even fall at a certain rate of speed. Humans don't move at faster than a certain rate of speed, and a whole list of other elements. There's a certain age that animals don't live really much longer, okay? And just different things, orbits and all that. Styles, man. Styles are important. Not everything, but they're important. And they're the first noticeable thing. When somebody stances up, you understand? Whoa. If somebody, for example, if somebody's versed in the martial arts as opposed to somebody on the street, and just because, and I'm going to deal with more about styles later, okay, in a later video, but just because somebody's street fighting doesn't make them a street fighter. Street fighting's the actual style of combat which is street fighting, is a completely different thing. Meaning, and like I said, I'll explain. I'll give a brief thing. Street fighting as a style, as a technique, is combat, is battle, is fighting adapted for street combat. Okay, street warfare, street fights. That's what it is. It's actual techniques adapted for whether it be an urban, conflicts on the street, whether there's not exactly the rules and limitations. Okay, and you deal with situations, whether it be a bit more, there'll probably be a bit more in the self-defense category rather than most technique, where it's more of a hybrid. And like I said, I'll go into that in a later video. But for example, if you faced a dude, and I was talking to a guy because I was in a dojo. For those who don't know, that's a school for the martial arts, more or less. I was in a dojo, it was a past Tuesday, and dude and I would talk about, and he was right. Most dudes with the wide swings. Well, for example, whether it be, I said karate, or taekwondo, with the kicks, quick kicks, kicks, boom, boom. I could easily hit him before. But even if we're talking boxing, instead of that wide swing, I can hit you with a couple jabs. I can hit you pretty much anywhere before you even land that punch, because of getting to that later technique. But the style, you understand, that's lack of style. That's lack of technique. That's lack of training. And I was talking to a dude about this, and it was related to art, but I used the martial arts because, once again, art, grace, the beauty, and all that. And I would hope the dude would understand, but he wasn't getting it. Now, he's dealt with boxing, and I go, for example, not everybody's just because you can throw a punch doesn't mean you're a boxer. Have you put the time in? Have you trained? Have you, worked and polished the skills? You understand what I'm saying? Just cause you can throw a punch doesn't mean jack. That applies to so many elements about life. But that's just what it is. Style. Okay? Style. Second point. Experience. Man, oh man. Experience is huge in fights. Huge. And I actually do hit on this in a lot of videos. I do. And I think, for example, my death match between Mario, Golden Freaks versus Mario, this will help determine the winner. Okay, no spoiler, just saying. Experience is massive. It's the concept that Rocky, especially Rocky 5, talked about. Where if you know Rocky 5 and his fight with Tommy Gunn, yeah, I know I'm using a lot of analogies to get y'all to see what I'm talking about. And his fight with Tommy Gunn, Rocky Balboa, he's not as fast as he once was. His punching power possibly could be more. It's questionable. Rocky's a bit special like that. But regardless, we don't know what his punching power is. We know his reaction time was off. And it's often said that the first thing that goes for a boxer is his legs, or a fighter is his legs. Fair enough. It's well stated. But your experience, you can get through many things in life because of experience. Fighting's an extension of that. If you've been through combat time and time again, it's why I love a guy like Uchiha Madara. It's why I love him as a character, because this dude is experienced and he just knows what he's doing. For example, Naruto fans and whatnot don't know exactly what I'm talking about. This is why I said, helped it, where, for example, a lot of people have questions about characters in One Piece. They don't train. Well, especially the Straw Hats. They don't train. Well, combat experience. Training's beautiful, but unless you're in the heat of battle, hello? It's like the difference if you play a sport. Oh, practice is one thing. Practice is beautiful. You can have teams rolling in practice. They're on the same page. You get in the heat of that game, the heat of battle, whether it be football, basketball, soccer, football, hockey, tennis. Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's the same concept. Experience keeps you level-headed. Experience helps you analyze. Oh, Morel and Hunter x Hunter. And it, in the anime, the 2011 anime, it's showcasing that beautifully. His experience, he was at freaking 30% against Poof, Shower Poof, okay? And this dude's experience, and I mean throughout the whole arc, but you see why he's a top hunter. This dude's experience kept him, and then he went from constant no sleep, and then he goes into the battle with Yuppie, okay, Monte Yuppie, and just this dude's experience. It's like whoa. He knows he knows how to read opponents. He knows how to read the situations, constantly assessing. Because he can rely on situations. Even Knuckle, 5,000 fights. You understand what I'm saying? Experience matters. Now, fighting IQ. Number 3, fighting IQ. Fighting intellect. Dudes do not get it. They don't get it. I've done a video, and I know this will definitely be in the description box below, maybe another video, but I know definitely what is a fighting genius. I know that will be in the description box of this video. Yeah. Adaptation, analysis of the situation, potentially strategy, potential, different characters do different things, but strategic. Once you've been, and this part really comes with experience, strategy, knowing one's own abilities, you feel me? Figuring out quickly, and this comes with adaptation, but figuring out quickly another person's abilities and being able to counter that. Constantly, making the fight go your way. And there's probably a slew of other things. Fighting IQ, fighting intellect. I'll use Beyblade for an example. Now, and here's the talent. Here's talent versus fighting IQ. Okay. Actually, these can both times happen. There was other things that happened in these fights, but Kai versus Brooklyn and Tyson versus Brooklyn show both these when it comes to fighting IQ. Kai was more on another fighting spirit / will, which I'll deal with in a bit. But Tyson especially, Kai showcased it, but Tyson especially. Now, you had Brooklyn, who's a savant in Beyblade. This dude made an imagination world, you understand what I'm saying? And he was going crazy, and he's just gifted. He hadn't taken an L before Kai and Tyson. He was going and he was doing all this craziness. But Tyson, by this point in the series, the point in the whole entirety of the series of Beyblade, because this is the third series, Tyson done seen, and it comes back to experiencing well. This also enhances fighting IQ. But Tyson done seen it all pretty much. He done seen pretty much all styles of Beyblade. Honestly. If not all, there's very few that he hasn't seen. This dude is just going in. And just because Brooklyn's gifted, Tyson fares even better against him than Kai did. Kai got tore them ass up. Tyson, not so much. Tyson's fighting IQ is ridiculous. It was in that fight, and it was high. And his fighting IQ was able him to make moves, as well as other things. But it was held, he could stay focused throughout all the madness, all the chaos, all the unpredictability that Brooklyn was throwing him. Fighting IQ allows you heads and shoulders above. And another thing which I was in the Luffy versus Uzumaki Naruto, okay, that was a huge point in the decision I made there. Now, number 4, circumstances. Now, this does deal with location, but other things as well. For example, if it's raining, that may obscure some things. Somebody may be at a disadvantage. If somebody has a broken rib or broken leg, not fighting at full capacity. I'm not saying broken rib you can fight, but you're not at full capacity. If somebody is blinded in one eye, if somebody is not focused on the fight, and the mentality, I'll deal with that as well later. Just circumstances of the fight. If somebody doesn't have a purpose to fight, and again, this will deal with these later. You can imagine, just put a scenario where Where would somebody win? I'm trying to think of a scenario where I'll give you a beautiful scenario. Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you put Avatar Aang, now we know his fire, he has all four. He hasn't mastered. He's completely mastered airbending. Waterbending, he's you could say he's an expert. Earthbending, pretty expert. Firebending, he's above an amateur, above a novice. He hasn't mastered it all, but he's done well. I'm talking about obvious innocent. I ain't talking about no legend corner when he's old and nothing like that. Toph, who is an absolute master at earthbending. Not only that, she learned sandbending and she developed metal bending because of a necessity to. Now, Toph is my favorite character in Avatar, but there's no bias. Understand the situation. You could say, no, not sandbending. I would say if, for example, they were in a cave, and Toph's, blind and sensing all that jazz. But regardless, she's an earthbender. She's, creme de la creme earthbender. She's on the leader of Earth Kingdom City. I forget, starts with a B. I know that. But anyways, she is creme de la creme in earthbending. If she fights Aang in a cave, it's over. Aang's not coming out of that alive if it's a death match. Period. Point blank simple. If Aang fights her, I don't know, on a boat, she ain't gonna fare well. You know what I'm saying? Near the swampy kind of area. She's not faring well. That's just what it is. She's at a disadvantage. So circumstances really do matter. They give you an advantage or disadvantage. It could be neutral playing field, but there's a lot of times these do happen to determine fights. It's why ninjas, shinobis in the past were important. Assassins, because stealth and just these different elements. Didn't see it coming. Number 5, and I hinted at this before, fighting spirit / will. You see it a lot, hear it a lot in anime and manga, okay? And it's true. Now, there's been a lot of ways to explain it, but it doesn't matter. Fighting spirit and will. The will to win. That's why you got characters like Monkey D. Luffy. Freaking Toriko. Son Goku. You understand? Even Superman at times, Kal-El. Different ones. Many times years, but just a will to win. You've seen it, you can see it throughout sports. You could see it, freaking Michael Jordan, okay? Michael Jordan, for example. Prime example. Or Mia Hamm. I'm just throwing out, some of the greats. Pelé and Muhammad Ali, formerly Cassius Clay. A will to win. Tiger Woods in his prime. It's like, not only do you have this natural born phenomenal talent, not only have you worked, it's just this fire inside. Because there's a lot of talented people. That doesn't necessarily mean they have the heart of the champion. It doesn't necessarily mean they're at the top. What puts somebody at the top is the will to win. The will to go all out and to keep going and to strive for more, to push it to the next level. There's always multiple gears. There's gear 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th sometimes. Okay? It's funny to talk about Luffy, but regardless, that's what it is. The will to win, the fire from the inside, that desire, that passion to execute, that passion for perfection, that passion for, to gain victory, to gain the upper hand, to push it to the limits, and then more. Okay? Number 6, skill / technique, which I've also talked about. Highly important. Look, man, if you ain't got technique, this should be obvious. If you ain't got technique and you're not skilled, you're screwed against high level opponents. You could use I'll use Hunter x Hunter and One Piece and Hunter x Hunter. One Piece, hockey game. If your hockey game ain't up there, you're not gonna be top tier likely in One Piece. You gotta have some form of hockey game, gotta be up there. in Hunter x Hunter. If your nin game isn't on point, if you don't know how to use your nin properly, you're screwed. In Magi the Labyrinth of Magic, you have key manipulation. If your game with Magor, if your game with Magic or whatever you'll do your, if you're a king vessel user, whatever you do, if your skill, if you're cooking, yeah, we can do Toriko. If you're cooking, Komatsu's cooking game, his slashes, quick, efficient, productive. You understand? Skill goal is huge, and it goes along with experience. The two go hand in hand. Sometimes your skill gets dull, if you haven't used. But if you're highly skilled, you don't need as much power. You don't need as much speed. You don't need as much. Period. If you're very highly skilled at what you do, you're saying you don't have to be a physical monster, a physical freak. You don't have to have LeBron James' natural physical. I'm not saying he's not skilled. Don't get me wrong. But you don't have to have his natural skill set if you're, for example, a Ray Allen or Reggie Miller. Later in their careers, sharpshooters, snipers, deadly, lethal. Kobe Bryant, same way. Different, but similar. Lethal from outside. Steph Curry. Okay, Kevin Durant, somewhat. If you're highly skilled, you're highly efficient, you become nearly unstoppable. Now, other areas might hinder, but it'll give you a fighting chance. Let me just put it that way. Skill and technique always gives you a fighting chance. Unless you're just fighting someone who's clearly superior in pretty much every area. Which happens. Last but certainly not least, some may say this is most important. Which is probably true. Mentality. How a man thinks is how he acts. How somebody thinks is how they make decisions. I'm constantly talking about this in my conversations with other people. You know what I'm saying? And it's biblical. It's scriptural. Okay? It's in scripture. Talk about, honestly, it's basic common sense too. How you think is how you're going to operate. If you're not focused, I mentioned this earlier, if you're not focused on the job at hand, you're going to get tore up. You're going to get embarrassed. You're going to get if you're not focused on your opponent, if you're not going in there, okay, mind you, if we're sparring, that's different. You're having fun, but even sparring, you can get yourself hurt. But if you're going into a serious fight, maybe it's a life and death struggle, maybe it's a potential life and death struggle. If you're not going in there with 100% focus, 100% confidence. I'm not saying cocky, but being confident. If you're not going in there with that, you're going to get seriously hurt, if not killed. You understand what I'm saying? You got to be in there, mind locked in. Yeah, be aware of your surroundings or whatever the situation arises. Be clear-headed, sober. There's things that come with it. Self-control, composed, poised. The person who is poised, and this goes to a champion as well. Poise, along with experience. All these things tie together, okay? And I'm pretty sure anybody, and like I said, this isn't just fighting, but this is fighting. Fighting epitomizes conflict, which epitomizes pretty much all of life. Because pretty much all of life is conflict in one form or another. Whether good or bad or indifferent, that's just how life is. So, the unexpected one, to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts on the video. Yeah, just that. Just tell me your thoughts on the subject. And like I said, I hope, I know this is lengthy, but I hope I was able to make it simple. I was able to break it down. If you know the different series and different characters and whatnot that or different people I threw up there, you can relate to what I'm saying. That's all I wanted to make this a much more clarified version of what I've been saying for the longest time. Alright, y'all, till next time, peace. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night.